You worked with 4 chief ministers as part of the finance department: Siddaramaiah, BSY, Bommai, and HD Kumaraswamy. Who's easy to work with? Who's tough to work with?
It's a difficult question to say the least.
Dr. Ekroop Caur, Secretary, Department of IT, BT and Skill Development, Government of Karnataka.
Today we have more than 40% share of the GCCs.
There is also competition from different states now. Why Karnataka, has an advantage?
The kind of talent which is today available in Karnataka, it is absolutely unmatched. And we have more than 50% of the AI talent of the country in Bangalore today.
How does one start a GCC in Karnataka? Right. I think recently Chandrababu Naidu made a statement that a work from home option should be part of the policy document. And
So I think private sector does not like to be dictated terms, and they don't like to be stifled with guidelines which create a kind of a caste or a binding.
you spoke about these cities having cost advantage and also the attrition rate is low. But India as a whole is losing that cost advantage. So how are we leveraging that?
I don't agree on that. I don't think we are losing the cost advantage. There is a huge cost arbitrage even now.
With the state initiative looking beyond Bangalore, what advantages these districts have and how are we going to capitalize on these?
So if you look at any of these clusters, whether it is Mysuru, Bengaluru, Hubli, Dharwad, Belgaum, you have so many education institutions which are churning out engineers, doctors and STEM graduates.
We've had bus lanes before. Why hasn't that worked?
It was working well, but...
Hello and welcome to another episode of Tech Talk. I'm Prabhu Mallikarjunan, Senior Editor at AM Media House. Today we have an esteemed guest, Dr. Ekroop Caur, Secretary, Department of IT, BT and Skill Development, Government of Karnataka. She has over 25 years of experience in public policy. She is also the recipient of Prime Minister's Award for Excellence in Public Administration. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks
So
for
before
having me.
today we're going to discuss about GCC's, Karnataka's lead in GCC and how the state is framing policies. Before we talk about that, let's just start on a lighter note. What does tech in your daily life mean? Is there any particular application that you can't live without?
As soon as I get up, my phone prompts me that, WhatsApp is the first thing you look at. So tech has become so integral to our lives today. Everything that we do, I think there is technology which is driving it.
Right. Now you've been in the forefront of driving, IT sector policies and now GCC enabler. Tell us about the state's initiative in terms of why the state is leading in GCC front and what the state is doing to continue to lead.
Yeah, so Karnataka has had a head start compared to all other Indian states when it comes to technology. In fact, way back, almost 40 years back, when Texas Instruments came to India, it came to Bangalore. And probably that marked our journey on this, getting global companies into Karnataka. Over the years, while we were initially known as the back office of the world and a lot of BPOs opened in Bangalore in late 90s, but now the ecosystem has really matured and we have moved on from being just a back office to doing core technology roles for the world and for the global offices and MNCs. The journey has been very interesting, and I think it is because of Karnataka's sustained investment in education, in R&D, in building the ecosystem. It has really held it in a good stead, and that is why we are where we are today. Of course, acknowledging the strength from the position of strength from where we are working today. Last year, the state announced a GCC policy, which is completely dedicated to bringing more global capability centers to Karnataka. Today, we have more than 40% share of the GCCs, and we are looking at increasing this in the next 5 years and taking it to 50% of India's share of GCCs, which would mean at least adding another 500 global capability centers to Karnataka. While it may sound a very lofty target, but I think it's very achievable. And the policy lays out a very clear-cut road ahead, a roadmap, which will help us achieve this.
Great. Like you pointed out, there is also competition from different states now. Why Karnataka, has an advantage?
Right now, we are at that level that, we are way ahead of competition. The kind of talent which is today available in Karnataka, it is absolutely unmatched. We have more than 1.2 million people who are completely, engaged in technology-driven roles. We have more than 2 lakh STEM graduates coming out in the state every year. And we have more than 50% of the AI talent of the country in Bangalore today. So that is, I think, the biggest advantage that we have, the kind of talent pool which is available. And the state is making all-out effort to build on this talent, to ensure that, we keep on upskilling, reskilling, and get our talent to be ready for the upcoming jobs in future. So I think while there is competition, but I don't see Karnataka losing its edge in any which way, because talent is something which is groomed over the years. It is not something that will come overnight. While many states have rolled out a lot of incentives, fiscal incentives, and infrastructure shops and all of that, but talent is something that needs to be carefully nurtured, and we are very mindful of the kind of talent we have and the kind of investment that is required to keep this talent relevant.
I know in the recent budget, the Chief Minister announced that AI will be introduced in schools. Now, how are we enabling at the school level or higher education level in terms of upskilling so that they match the requirement of the GCCs and IT side?
Yeah, so we are now starting very early on, in the sense, working right from high school children to colleges. We have recently, along with NASSCOM, launched an IP enablement program where we would be reaching out to schools, colleges across the state and helping them build on this IP ecosystem. We have a very vibrant network of New Age Innovation Network, we call it. It is a network of engineering colleges where we support, the government supports taking up of projects which are tech-centric. And the idea is to catch them young, invest on them when they are still very agile and nimble, and push them or nudge them in the direction of adopting technology, working in the domain of science, pursuing R&D. And that is what we are doing. Going forward, now the curriculum in colleges has become very flexible. Colleges have the freedom to introduce courses which are industry driven. State is also investing in helping the colleges develop these curriculum, to train the teachers, and then to deliver these courses. So there are a multitude of programs which have been introduced across various departments, not just ITBT, higher education, skill development. All the government agencies are today working together to see that we offer a bouquet of skilling courses which will help in, grooming the students in the right direction. And in the current budget, which has just come out a few days back, there has been a big announcement of a new program called LEAP, which is a local economy accelerator program. Again, the focus would be to see that this innovation ecosystem and the innovation culture that we have today, while it is predominantly in Bangalore, we see that it is spread across Karnataka. Under LEAP also, we will be supporting not just skilling initiatives, but also entrepreneurship development programs, innovation programs. We would be starting some centers of excellence across the state, TBIs. So we want that this entire, ecosystem, it is not just limited to Bangalore, it is across Karnataka. And we start very early. We start from schools and see that in the when the child reaches college, they already, are working on some kind of tech solution.
Right. I remember, I think the government allocated 1,000 crore for LEAP program. Could you give us a breakdown of how it is likely to be spent over the next year?
So as I said, skilling will be one focus under the LEAP program. There is a focus also on creating centers of excellence and TBIs across Karnataka. We are also looking at strengthening the startup ecosystem, which is already very, very vibrant in Karnataka. A large sum of the money would be going towards setting up a fund of funds, which would support startups. We are also looking, because Karnataka is at that level now that there is a lot of deep tech work happening in Karnataka, there would be a dedicated deep tech fund. It would be more in the nature of a grant. We already run a program called Elevate, where every year we select about 100 startups and they are given a grant of up to 50 lakhs. So on the same lines, we would like to support deep tech startups. And besides all of this, the program would also be investing on developing a rich talent pool.
Right. I think recently Chandrababu Naidu made a statement that work from home option should be part of the policy document, and the government is doing something. Is Karnataka thinking on those lines too? Because that has been a contentious issue, and a lot of IT folks are asking for that.
So I think private sector does not like to be dictated terms, and they don't like to be stifled with guidelines which are, which create a kind of a caste or a binding. But state is open, and we don't make discriminate whether you're working from home or working from office. State's role is to create an enabling environment to support policies, and I think certainly work from home does give some amount of flexibility to women to take up jobs. So it's left best to the private sector, but state would certainly support any such initiative.
Right. Now, let's look at beyond Bangalore. You have worked in Sakleshpur, you have worked in Belgaum. What are the, with the state initiative looking beyond Bangalore to decongest Bangalore as well? What advantages these districts have, and how are we going to capitalize on these?
So, of course, the easier thing is that state is incentivizing shift to these places. There are a whole lot of fiscal incentives which have been given, whether it is in terms of recruitment, right from the cost of hiring talent to skilling talent to giving them internship programs and training. All of that state is supporting. Similarly, there are incentives for infrastructure, property tax, rentals. Also, we are taking some part of the cost of co-working spaces to ensure that there is more infrastructure and more co-working spaces are created in these cities. So these are the easier things, as I said, rolling out fiscal incentives, we can do it. I mean, state has that wherewithal. So that has been done. But beyond that, I think it is our systematic investment in education, which I think is the greatest strength that we have today. So if you look at any of these clusters, whether it is Mysuru, Bengaluru, Hubli, Dharwad, Belgaum, you have so many institutions which are, education institutions which are churning out engineers, doctors, and STEM graduates. So there is a very large availability of talent pool in all these cities. In a city like Mangalore, there are more than 30,000 STEM graduates every year, so which is a big number. And we would like to build on that. And I think that's a big advantage. Certainly, there is cost arbitrage also in hiring talent in these cities. And also the experience that we have, the companies have shared, which have already moved to these cities. For example, IBM has an office in Mysuru. Their experience has been that the attrition rates are also much lower in tier 2 or emerging clusters, as we would like to call them. I think post-COVID, there is a lot of move towards, a lot of people at that time went back to their hometowns. So that, and they have experienced that ecosystem, they have experienced working over there. So there is more acceptance. People are more open to working in their own native towns. And I think this is the right time to give a push to this. It will certainly get a lot of traction.
Right. Whenever IT companies want to focus on infrastructure, they'll say, I'll get out of the city, I'll get out of Karnataka. But why hasn't that happened in terms of district level? Why haven't many companies gone beyond Bangalore, those companies which have been there for decades?
Beginning has been made. All the 3 clusters that we are now working on have about 8 to 10. Bangalore has actually even more number of companies. A lot of course, manufacturing has always been in these cities, beyond these cities. So I think you need a critical mass and the right set of things, availability of talent, investment in skilling, having a good innovation in a startup ecosystem. And then if a critical mass of companies move to these cities, it will create that ecosystem. And I think connectivity used to be one of the issues which many companies used to raise at some point in time. But today, if you see, it's easier getting to Mysore from some parts of the city than traveling within Bangalore, because city has grown so big. So Mysore, with the new highway coming in, is just about an hour and a half drive from Electronic City. So certainly that has improved. All these three clusters that we are working on have more than 108 direct flights to cities outside of Karnataka, whether it is Delhi. And it's surprising, sometimes you're sitting in Hubli airport and you will hear an announcement for Ahmedabad, for Kolkata. This kind of connectivity was unheard of earlier, but now that connectivity is there. So I think a lot of things have come together which give us this confidence that these cities will really pick up well.
Right. You spoke about these cities having cost advantage and also the attrition rate is low. But India as a whole is losing that cost advantage. So how are we leveraging that?
I don't agree on that. I don't think we are losing the cost advantage. There is a huge cost arbitrage even now. While I certainly feel that companies are not coming here for the cost arbitrage alone, they are coming here because they see value. The talent and the kind of work which is happening in India, I mean, companies which came, say, in 90s, they experienced that the acumen and the skill set that is available here, the kind of work, the kind of research and development work which people sitting from India can do. Having seen that value, they have expanded. They came for cost arbitrage, but they have stuck on to India because they saw the value. Now also, cost arbitrage is certainly fairly significant, but it's just that value proposition is a bigger force which is attracting companies to India.
Right. How do we measure the success of GCCs? Is it on the job creation? Is it on the revenue that they contribute to the GSDP? How do we measure the success?
Yeah, so there are multiple, metrics on which we can see whether we are succeeding on the GCC front or not. Certainly, the number of GCCs is one of the parameters, but then the jobs created, the kind of work which is happening, the number of IPs which are being registered, the total value generation, and number of people who are skilled and upskilled. All of these give you an indication of the how thriving the GCC ecosystem is, whether it is doing well or not. I think through our policy also, we have different pillars across which we have divided the policy. And across pillars, there is a attempt to measure what is the success. And I think we will be doing that also going forward.
I think the buzzword is GCC everywhere. Suddenly, everybody is talking about, every company wants to be on the GCC line. How do we kind of differentiate between the Indian IT and the GCC now? So if you can elaborate on that, how are we capitalizing on that?
So while GCC is the buzzword, and I agree to it, and it also found a mention in the union budget this time, where the Honorable Finance Minister said that they would be coming out with a national framework for global capability centers. But this is not at the cost of local IT companies or homegrown IT companies. In fact, Karnataka owes a lot to our own homegrown companies like Infosys, Wipro. There are, I don't want to take names, there are so many of them. And I think it is a very fairly synergetic relationship. Why GCCs are coming to India is also because we have this very robust ITES ecosystem. And going forward also, this IT ecosystem which is there of companies which are homegrown will feed into the GCC ecosystem. There are many ways in which the GCCs are collaborating with the IT companies, whether it is a BOT model or co-sourcing, or there are many ways in which they are collaborating. So certainly that collaboration will continue. With the coming in of GCCs, one big advantage is that a lot of global roles are now coming to India. In Bangalore alone, we have more than 6,500 global roles, which means that people sitting out of Bangalore, they are managing that segment of the business for the company across the globe. So that kind of exposure, that kind of canvas, these IT companies are getting because they are collaborating with the GCCs on that front. So I think for both, it's a win-win situation, and I don't think that one is going to eat into the share of the other.
Great. See, IT in terms of salaries are kind of stagnating. The hikes are, kind of at a lower level. GCs are offering much better salaries. So, do you think there will be a gradual shift in terms of IT slowing down and GCs is picking up? How it is going to add to the current
As
stage?
I said, I think they are quite interconnected. While we look at them as two different entities, but they are quite interconnected, and that shift will always be there. You're working in one company, you get a better offer, you move on, but then somebody else takes that place. So I don't see, GCCs taking away the talent at the cost of IT.
Right. Let's talk about leveraging the startup ecosystem in Karnataka. I mean, we've had vibrant IT ecosystem from the start, and then the startup ecosystem over. How is GCC capitalizing on startup ecosystem?
So it's our startup ecosystem, which is another big, reason for GCCs coming to Bangalore. We have more than 18,000 startups today in Karnataka, of which about 12,000 are Bangalore based. And a large share of these startups are actually deep tech startups. So it's not just numbers, it's the kind of work, kind of innovation, and the kind of solutions which are coming out of startups, which is very different and which is actually, becoming a good source of attention or attraction for the GCCs. And most of these GCCs and IT companies, they have a lot of structured ways of, collaborating with the startup ecosystem, whether it is through grand challenges or incubation. Many of these companies are incubating startups through their innovation labs, through sheer acquisition. A lot of startups today are collaborating with the GCCs, and in fact, through our policy, in the policy, we have taken a very ecosystem-based approach. We have not looked at only financial incentives. We are looking at building the ecosystem, because today Bangalore is way ahead, and I don't think it's only money which will, attract or help us in getting more companies. So we are trying to build these bridges for the GCCs by creating structured platforms for them to collaborate with startups, to collaborate with academic institutions, and see that there is good collaboration between the two. In fact, for our startups, we are coming up with a portal which will help them showcase their products. They can put up their videos and product details. And the endeavor is to showcase it to both companies as well as various agencies within the government, to see that these startups get that visibility and, they are able to get more business through the companies as well as government offices. So startup ecosystem certainly is very, very prominent in Karnataka, and a prominent reason for GCCs coming to Karnataka.
I know policies have been kind of liberalized for GCCs to start quick. Can you talk us about how does one start a GCC in Karnataka? How easy or tough it is?
I don't think it is tough at all. It is, in terms of ease of doing business, a lot of improvements have been made and a lot of amends have been made. So for a GCC landing in Karnataka, right from the word go, the department facilitates their journey. We are coming up with a dedicated cell which will handhold these GCCs. The number of permissions and permits that are required for GCCs are fairly limited, except for certain areas where, if it's a core biotech industry, a biotech-led GCC, where they are doing some kind of research work which requires approvals. For a normal GCC in IT, specifically in IT domain, the number of approvals required is very limited. And I don't think any GCC has complained of any delays in approvals. Plus, the department is there to support their journey.
What is that we are giving them in terms of the leverage, the cost leverage that you spoke about? Land, cheap water, in terms of resources. What is that attracts them here? And at what cost are we?
As I said, they don't come here only for cost arbitrage. They come here for the value. We give them the best talent in the world.
Great. In terms of, I think we spoke about, the policy also speaks about state giving suggestions to the center over the the GCC policy on front. There has been contentious issues. Certain things need to be addressed, and has the government, as a state, addressed it already to the center in terms of transfer pricing, particularly?
Yeah, so transfer pricing is something which is completely in the domain of union government, but the state does play an advocacy role. And in fact, we have been facilitating a lot of conversations between union government and companies which are working out of Karnataka over the last 1 year. Also, we have had at least 3 to 4 such large, discussions and roundtable conferences where we have facilitated that dialogue. We also understand and try and do an advocacy for our companies. But at the end of the day, it is a union issue and union government will take a decision on that.
The center and state issues have been cropping up time and again.
Right.
So will that play out in terms of whether the GCC will choose a certain state and why will they choose Karnataka?
I don't think. In GCCs, I don't think it makes a very big difference.
Right. Another thing that
I don't think there is any such issue between the center and the state where, there is any attempt to move something and all that.
Great. But, this Karnataka government has been saying that, the fund allocation has not been coming the way.
So that is not directly related to GCCs or to private sector. That is a issue about, the devolution of the tax receipts. It's independent. I mean, I don't think that has a big bearing on this. That may have a bearing on the state's finances.
Another thing I want to touch upon is the infrastructure part. Now, recently, industry leader Mohandas Pai and kind of IT minister had a kind of, I would say, online tussle where each of them were blaming each other in terms of the infrastructure in Bengaluru. We saw a meme where Google's new office was put out and then a pothole was there. How are we addressing the infrastructure issues and why is that a problem? You worked with BMTC before.
So infrastructure, the city has grown at a pace which is completely unimaginable, and nobody thought that a small place like Bangalore, which was basically an army cantonment during British times, would grow to this size and scale. Over the years, a lot of things have improved. Connectivity in terms of, whether it is widening of roads. And there were, issues in doing that because we didn't have that kind of road width. So road infrastructure has improved. The connectivity in terms of options you have to travel has improved tremendously. State is investing a lot in setting up the metro system, but then it takes time. Large infrastructure have their own gestation period. But I'm sure with the coming in of metro, a lot of these problems will get eased out. Then we need to focus more on mobility solutions rather than just looking at, increasing road length and creating more flyovers, which I think the state is addressing pretty well. State has been very progressive in terms of introducing electric buses. Not just do they add to the carrying capacity, but also it's a very sustainable solution. So I think a lot of things are improving. But certainly there is a catch-up that needs to be done.
Right. In terms of public interest, since you worked as an MD of BMTC before, we've had bus lanes before, particularly in the IT corridor. Why hasn't that worked? If you were currently... It
was working well, but you have only limited road width. And after a while of introducing those bus lanes, metro work started. So a part of the road had to be cordoned off for metro. And that is why the bus lane was discontinued. Otherwise, you would not have space for other vehicles to move. So it's just that this transition is difficult. We are all going through that transition phase. But I think in another year or so, a lot of things will fall in place and that will have a big impact. State is heavily investing on K-Ride, which is suburban rail network, metro rail network, plus improving road infrastructure. And then offering more transport solutions. In fact, Metro has been very, very proactive in tying up with a lot of companies for last mile connectivity, whether it is through, electric bikes or through smaller vehicles. So a lot of efforts are being made. But yes, I do agree that there is an issue, but probably you have to bear with us for some time before this is solved.
Right. I will just extend this a little bit more. The IT minister went on to compare it to London and then said even in London there are traffic issues. Great. Yes, every city has its own problem and every city would have a traffic congestion issue. But we don't see the same quality of life for people in terms of public infrastructure. In terms of addressing this, when can we expect such kind of a facility?
I do. When you say public infrastructure, you only mean public transport, or you mean
in terms of a
larger
cycle lane,
public?
in terms of a good footpath, in terms of a good bus facility, in terms of a good metro facility. I need it for Bangalore. I'm sure you were stuck this morning in traffic. So
Yeah, so I think earnest efforts are being made, and that is what is important. Government is trying its best. If you look at the budget, the kind of allocation which has been made for the city alone, that shows that the government is serious and is committed to doing it. But because these projects take some time, it will be some more time before we get that kind of infrastructure that we are talking of.
you work with 4 chief ministers as part of the finance department. Siddaramaiah, BSY, Bommai, and HD Kumaraswamy. Who's easy to work with? Who's tough to work with?
That's a difficult question, to say the least.
Is it because you're an IAS officer, you don't want to be?
No, so there's no easy or difficult. I mean, it's a different experience. Each one has his own style of working. And working with the chief minister, one has to learn and work accordingly.
With Siddaramaiah,
But it is certainly a privilege to have got the opportunity to work with 4 CMs very closely.
This is the second time you're working with Siddaramaiah.
Yeah, I was for 1 year, yeah.
Can you briefly tell us about how he functions and what you like about him?
So when it comes to finance, and that's the capacity in which I was, talking to the current chief minister, Mr. Siddaramaiah, he has a very, very good understanding of state finances. And he's very prudent in his thinking. He's very mindful of where we spend, what we spend, and how the taxpayers' money is being spent. And I think the kind of discipline that he shows in preparing the budget and then in getting it executed. So he's done 16 budgets, and it's a record which is probably unmatched.
Right. Is there any mandate for GCCs?
In the budget?
From the chief minister saying that this is what.
Yeah, so the fact that the GCC policy was announced last year, and the government is certainly committed to support the growth of GCCs in Karnataka. And in the budget also, this year we don't have a specific announcement, but budget provision has been made for giving all the fiscal incentives and taking up all the ecosystem building measures which have been listed out in the policy.
Right. According to latest Zenov report, Karnataka has about 880 plus GCCs. Mumbai has 720 plus, fast catching up. Hyderabad has about 355, about half of what Karnataka has. And NCR region is 465. I mean, considering that we have the ambition plans of adding another 500, 550 over the next 5 years, how are we looking at, fast pacing these states?
We are certainly ahead of competition right now. And to build on this, as I said earlier also, through our policy, we have taken a very multi-pronged approach. We are heavily focused on building the ecosystem, whether it is through collaborations with academic institutions and startup ecosystem, or it is in terms of providing impetus to R&D. There is a specific provision which has been made in the policy to ensure more innovation labs are set up across Karnataka, including Bangalore. So innovation, R&D is a focus that we are looking at. And when it comes to attracting more GCCs into Karnataka, we are looking at the entire spectrum of GCCs. We are looking at large companies. We are even focusing at nano GCCs, which are small in number but very high in impact and do really deep tech work and core R&D work for their companies. And we have a multi-pronged approach in terms of demand generation, matching supply when it comes to talent, and promoting the ecosystem. So for demand generation, we are working with a lot of companies which are already in Bangalore, because the first thing I think when a new GCC wants to come to India is that they talk to their peers. So we are working with a lot of companies which are already in Karnataka. We are also working with our GIA partners. We have a very structured Global Innovation Alliance where we are partnering with more than 35 countries across the globe, and with their consulate offices in India and their agencies, their trade offices. We collaborate to see that we reach out to GCCs. We already have a fair share of large companies which are in Karnataka. We are now also very keenly focusing on the tier 2 companies. So not so large, the mid-sized companies which are in different geographies of the world. So that is another area of focus. So I think with this effort across, reaching them through various sources, improving the outreach in terms of roadshows in India, outside of India, and having a direct connect with these companies, we are quite confident that we will be able to do the demand generation. On the supply side, as I said, we are extremely heavily focused on skilling. And it is talent which is going to define and attract more GCCs. It is pure talent play. So certainly we are very serious about, investing in talent. When it comes to this segment, especially GCCs, AI is something which is, now shaping the world, and AI will be the biggest game changer. So we have started certain centers of excellence. We already have 3 centers of excellence on AI in Bangalore, and all with very esteemed organizations. We have one with IAS. We have recently started a center of excellence on AI with the IIT Alumni Association. We have one center in IIITB. And now with the LEAP program that we have announced, where we are going to, work across Karnataka, we will see that this AI ecosystem already in Hubli, Dharwad, we did one small engagement in Hubli, which was AI focused. So we will see that we get this talent from across Karnataka. Besides these centers of excellence, we are also, building in the flexibility in the curriculum. We have a lot of programs where, the curriculum is industry defined. We set up one skill advisory council last year under the chairpersonship of our IT minister, along with the Minister for Skill Development. And we have a set of about 20 plus industry leaders who are guiding us on the industry's requirement, what kind of specific skill set they want. They have gone to the details of actually defining the curriculum for each skill set. And that is what we are now implementing. In fact, through our Nipuna program, which we launched at the Bangalore Tech Summit last year, we have signed up with the most prominent companies, whether it is NVIDIA, Microsoft, Intel, Accenture. We have signed up with all of them to run these industry-led training programs. So I think this multi-pronged approach and working both on the demand and the supply side will certainly hold us in a good stead.
Right. I'm also wondering, how do we define a GCC? And without taking the names, are certain GCCs, the so-called GCCs, taking advantage of the state policies?
So GCC is a term which is coined by NASSCOM. And it is basically, it reflects the kind of work which is happening in these centers. As I said, we were known as back office, and the impression globally was that the kind of work which is happening in India is only low-end work which is outsourced to an agency to do it. So Global Capability Center very rightly brings out the spirit of the work which is happening, which is, it's like a global capabilities which are available, and you are catering to the core requirement of the company's parent company. So GCCs are typically headquartered abroad. It could be any geography outside of India. And they are typically servicing all the geographies in the world, in the sense that they have a global presence. We used to also call them multinational companies. So they are companies which have their business, their offices, their markets across the country. across the globe. So that's how we define GCC in our policy also, and it's a fairly clear-cut definition.
Right. The reason why I asked you is
And it's size agnostic.
right.
So it's not just why we don't want to stress on that multinational company kind of nomenclature, because now we are looking at very niche companies also, and we are looking at nano GCCs, which are very small in size but very high in impact.
Right. The reason why I asked you is one of the automobile companies during the Invest Karnataka, an India-based company, came up and announced that they're going to set up a unit in Mysore and called it a GCC, and thus they are bringing this money investment. Now, technically speaking, they're catering to the India market, producing in India, manufacturing in India. So why would that be a GCC? And do we have checks and balances to see where are we catching them?
Yeah, so under the policy, for the purpose of giving out incentives, it would be as per the definition which is given in the policy itself. So the policy, I don't think there are any gray areas or any doubt which is there. So it's very clearly defined.
Right. Another thing, I think you spoke about investment in deep sea and others. So central government has been focusing on India AI mission.
Yes.
What is the state role in it, and how does the state add to the India AI mission?
So we are collaborating with the Government of India on that. Of course, one of the important things which government is working on is on building data sets. And a lot of this data actually resides across the states. So that is something that we are collaborating on, building these data sets for the India AI mission. Also, I think we will be a big beneficiary of the India AI mission, because the compute which is going to be given at a much lower rates, all large number of startups being in Karnataka, they will all make use of it. We are also looking at some very focused programs under the India AI mission. Like one was announced in the budget only, which is having a center on applied solutions, AI solutions. So we will be starting that very shortly. It will be as a part of the National AI mission only. Similarly, we are looking at other AI-based centers of excellence, which we would do under the AI mission.
Since we are speaking of AI initiatives a lot, the state is also focusing on bringing kind of where MNCs bring in data centers as such. Data centers consume a lot of water. Correct. We already are troubled with the Kaveri issue in terms of this Bengaluru city runs out of water during summers. Does the GCC policy or the state policy address this in terms of how they are bringing in?
So yes, data centers do consume a lot of water, and as of now, our footprint in data centers is fairly limited. But we are looking at creating Bangalore as one of the centers for data centers, one of the places where more data centers can come. It is also because of the availability of the infrastructure, water availability, and I feel as we move ahead, there will be changes. We already have one startup, very interesting startup in Mysore, which has come up with a data center solution, which is much more easy on its requirement of water. So innovation and improvement will certainly ensure that going forward, the requirement of water will also come down for data centers.
Right.
But wherever a data center is being sanctioned, adequate care is taken to see that water availability is there, and we are not looking at setting up data centers in water scarce areas.
See, we also did a recent story. I mean, one of our reporters did. Will Bangalore be the victim of AI in terms of, one, it comes from the fact that there might be job losses going forward, and it will have a rippling effect on the real estate economy as such. And also the fact that Bangalore is already overburdened with population. What is the state doing it, and do you think so that it will be a victim?
While AI will certainly take care of a lot of work in terms of your repetitive work and a lot of your analytics kind of things which the machine can easily learn, but I think it will also create new jobs, and that is what has always happened historically. That is what we have seen, and state for sure is mindful of this, and that is why we are trying to build our AI capabilities. So if there is any job loss in terms of low-end jobs going out because of the coming of AI, we would like to invest to see that this AI, which is going to dominate the narrative, we are ahead on that.
So we saw Technicolor, one of the GCCs shutting down. What are the lessons that we have learned?
It's too early to comment on Technicolor. The news came very suddenly, and it's their headquarters in France, which, as I learned from the local team, that they have filed for insolvency, and that is the reason why they had to close their office here. But yes, when you're working in a global system, when you're working, you're working in such a connected world, whatever happens in one part of the world will certainly have some kind of ripple effect here as well. So, as I said, it's early to comment on Technicolor. We will see how we handle it. But some amount of, hedging of risks probably is we should look at.
Right. That's all from my end. One last message from your end. If you were to go out to industry leaders without naming people who says that they'll get out of the city, they'll get out of the state every time an infrastructure issue pops up, every time a water crisis pops up, what would that message be?
I think Bangalore is the place. Bangalore and Karnataka is the place to be because we are the most industry-friendly state. State is very, very, open, and we collaborate with industry. We learn from industry. We do things as the industry wants us to do. So in that sense, I don't think any other state is as receptive. And we are investing heavily to see the growth of companies in Karnataka. And so there is no reason for anyone to look anywhere else.
Great. That's all from our end. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure talking to you. Thank you.